beautiful people, welcome to another video, and I brought back the star of my channel, Greg.
Hi everyone.
My second most popular video is the interview with him, or his first video, not interview really.
My most awkward and
it is pretty
least photogenic video.
He's just a little uncomfortable.
Slightly.
Just relax, just relax. So I thought that I would come back with an interview with the vampire. I mean sociopath.
Sure.
I mean Gregory.
That's much better.
I wanted to ask him questions because we hear it all the time, you know, is he a sociopath? What is a sociopath? Blah, 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 is a psychopath? What is ASPD? Or ASPD. Alphabet soup, man, that gets me every time. So if you're unaware, Greg has a couple diagnoses, but the one that we're going to focus on is antisocial personality disorder. And that is one that he received when he went to prison. So when was that? Like 2011?
Yeah, the relevant stint was 2011.
Yeah. So I kind of devised some questions that I think that most people ask or think about or wonder, and hopefully it's going to be interesting. Before we get into that, can you like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell notification, and come back for more interviews with the vampire, sociopath.
I used to wish I was a vampire.
A vampire?
For a very short
Before
period
Twilight.
of time. Yeah.
And when
yeah.
then Twilight happened, it's like, no, I'm good. I don't want to be a vampire.
Exactly.
Okay, so what labels do you use? Do you use any labels? Do you like labels?
I mean, personally, I'm not big on the labels. Like, the labels aren't... They're helpful for other people to understand people that have diagnoses or that they otherwise might not be able to understand. It is like a helpful kind of template to put over someone, but it's not really, like, everyone is so different and everyone's like manifestations of their diagnoses are so different that it's not really helpful. If anything, it just stigmatizes a little bit more.
Yeah. That kind of goes into the next one. How do you feel when someone calls you a sociopath?
For me, like, as weird as it is, like, it never really rings true. Like, it never, the label, like, I accept my diagnosis and I can clearly see all of the behaviors and everything about it. But it just never feels like it fits for some reason. Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't like it when people call him a sociopath because I think that a sociopath has been just completely villainized by pop culture, and it sucks. It sucks because it is just so reductive and...
Reductive is definitely the word I was going to use.
Yeah, I took it from you. But it is. And it upsets me when people call him a sociopath because I don't think that you fit the sociopath that people are thinking of.
Yeah, in my head, the sociopath that people conjure up is like a malicious, malevolent, like, villain.
Yeah.
And I definitely am not that. Like,
yeah.
I've been heartless at times, but rarely have I, well, I mean, I'm not a supervillain.
Yeah. No, you're smart, you're a genius, but I wouldn't go as far as to say as you're like a malicious intent all the time.
Try not to.
So do you see yourself as a sociopath? Why or why not specifically? What do you see, I guess, as a sociopath? You said
for
malicious.
me, yeah. Well, I mean, are we talking sociopath as like...
What the general public thinks of a sociopath.
So the traits that fit me like that are like manipulation and callousness and arrogance and, you know what I mean, just I don't know, I'm generally like not as pleasant as other people, I guess. Like, I'm outwardly pleasant or like surface level pleasant, but not the most pleasant
So
person.
why don't you think you fit with that general public view of a sociopath?
I guess what never really sat well with me is like the aggressive or violent or anything that's like just hurting people for hurting people's sake has never been my thing.
And you are very sympathetic or empathetic even to weaker populations.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Disabled, elderly, children, animals, you know.
That definitely, I put people in their head probably think sociopath people would hurt animals. Or
right?
I would, no, not gonna happen.
Never gonna happen.
It's like I can picture, like would be capable of hurting an animal, but like to me, it makes no sense to hurt something that defenseless, I guess. It serves no purpose.
Yeah. Do you think like you physically could? I physically could not.
There are situations where I could if I had to, you know what I mean? Like, but
No,
I'm not just gonna go out of my way and kick a dog. Like,
right?
That I can't. I'm not gonna do that.
In high school, did I ever tell you the story about my high school boyfriend? He threw a knife at a rabbit just to be a... He thought he was just kidding. He didn't think he was going to actually hit it, and it hit it, and he cried. He cried.
My friend shot a bird with a pellet gun, the same thing, like, didn't think he was going to hit it, cried his eyes out.
Yeah. I mean, I cried too. I wasn't there, thank God I didn't witness it, but I cried just like...
See, me, I would, like, I know that can happen, so I'm not gonna do that, you know what I mean? I don't know.
You're just a little smarter than most.
Yeah, that might be right.
Okay, so into some of the juicy questions, I think. Can you be loyal? Loyalty, I guess, as a whole, I'm talking like work relationships with coworkers, friendships, family, and romantic. Loyalty, I guess define what that means to you.
I mean, the short answer is I can be loyal as long as it serves me, I guess. Like, a lot, I've come to think of my relationships as, like, I don't know, everything is kind of on this scale of how much effort do I have to put in and what can I get for that effort.
Yeah.
And the more that's weighed in my favor, like, the better.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of situations where, like, me doing something for someone is, like, I get something out of that too.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a one-way relationship.
And I think that's true for a lot of people, but for you it's a lot more in the forefront. Like the benefit. How will this relationship benefit me? That is definitely a priority when you consider your relationships.
Yeah.
So then that leads to the next questions. Can you feel bonds? Can you feel bonds? And then can you break it down? Like, with your coworkers, do you feel bonds, and not just like your current job, I mean like all jobs, have you been able to bond with coworkers and form like friendships at work? Is that...
For me, relationships at work aren't really my thing. Like, I actually kind of actively avoid them. I don't start many relationships with people in general. Like, if I am friendly with someone or like take it beyond like even like nodding in a hallway, like I don't know, it's few and far between. So I can't, like, but it's not that I can't establish bonds or be loyal, it's that I'm very selective with it, and
a lot of times I think it has led to bad things in the past, which I think is partially why. Do you think that has any reason for you avoiding it? Like, more like with female relationships? I
mean, I think that's a whole other can of worms. I think, like, relationships at work, it's just, like,
they're just people.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hang out with them after work. I've never been the type to go socialize after work or do any of that. Like, my business is elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, I'll work with these people, I'll be friendly to them there, but...
So, what about friends? Have you had any really close male friends aside from prison or high school?
I mean...
Even in high school, did you?
Yeah, I had, like, growing up, I had close friends. Like, I had friends where I would go over their house every day for, like, months on end, and who I would consider, like, close bonds and stuff. But since then, not really.
But you have to address the fact that even those close friends,
I don't talk to any of them now.
But you weren't the nicest to either. You did things to hurt.
Oh, yeah.
You hurt them pretty bad.
Yeah, I see. My brain just glosses over all that stuff.
Mostly it was about, like, relationships and girls and going after girls.
I'm not nice. I'm not the nicest person. I haven't been the nicest person.
So then with your family, you have a very close family. Like, your sisters, I know, and your brother mean a lot to you. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say I don't think that you have an issue with your family like that. What about, like, romantic relationships? Forming bonds, like, connections with them?
I mean, I would say that I had bonds with them. Like, I feel like I had a genuine relationship with most people, but it's definitely I don't know.
You have a connection, like a valid, I definitely see that.
And I invest, like, when I'm with someone, I invest a lot of time and energy into that person.
Yeah.
And, like, so it's a constant feedback, like, I'm getting something, giving something, and I get a lot out of the giving, so I feel like that's beneficial for someone to be on the other side of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But loyalty...
Yeah, that insofar as I tend, if something's not right in front of me, I can very easily forget about it.
Yeah.
So that has led to my loyalty being pretty trash in the past.
Now, this is a question that was actually brought up by an interview with a TV show that Greg interviewed for. I got to interview for it too, and we'll talk about that in another video.
That was a roller coaster.
That was really fun. But,
it was.
Have you ever felt joy?
So this was such a weird, like such a hard question because you don't ever know anyone else's like emotional range to like know what someone else would consider joy. But like I think so, like, but I maybe not in the sense that other people would. Like the main example that we were hitting on in that conversation was about like when Emerson was born, and like joy isn't necessarily the right word, I don't think. It was relief and like happiness and just a whole bunch of other things, but I don't know, joy. I felt joy more recently, I think. I think I've gotten much better with like my emotional range, but
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I don't think that I would have said yes for you feeling true happiness and joy, like just selfless happiness that didn't have anything to do with you benefiting or not benefiting, like just a joyful, like Emerson. Now, a lot of it does come from Emerson, and just our relationship and other things that you've achieved in your personal life.
I've become much more happy with myself, and like happiness always comes from inside, not outside.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't have said that you would have experienced a lot of joy when you were younger, like when we dated the first time.
Yeah, no, that was momentary pleasure seeking, like hedonism. And
oh, then the next question is, have you ever felt unconditional love?
So, yes, I think so. I think that in my relationships now, with you and with Emerson, I would consider that those both unconditional at this time. But it may not have always been that way. Like,
oh yeah, I wouldn't say that it was unconditional for us, because
unconditional love is also like incredibly like rare and selfless, and yeah. I don't think that most people would.
I would say, like, would you stay with me if I was paralyzed? Would you stay with me if I had like a traumatic brain injury? Yeah. That, to me, like, is being able to love someone unconditionally, love them no matter what.
Yeah,
what if
if everything about you changed, I would still love you.
What if I cheated on you? Would you find it in your heart to want to forgive me? And that to me is the unconditional love. And that's, I knew that I felt that with you, with everything that we went through. Yeah, it was like, this is my person, like, this is the person I want to be with. I'm going to just hold it down.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't always that way. Like, there was definitely a point in the past where I know that I would have been like, if you cheated. Yeah, definitely. But not anymore.
I know. Especially because if you had found out about the Scott situation when that happened, that would have been
gone a very different way. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm often asked, or I often see people comment that I'm a trophy. Do you collect me? Am I a collection on your wall of trophies?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
am I gold, bronze, or silver?
Gold, 1000%.
Good answer.
Like, I think that's such almost a loaded like accusation. Like, of course I'm proud of you and like think that you are. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. Like, why? Yeah. What do you? So if you're not a trophy, what are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm not a prize. I'm not a catch.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So like.
I watched this one video from a girl that has antisocial personality disorder, and she came out with her video after the Shane Dawson, Jake Paul thing, and it was just like, she feels love, and she feels joy, and she feels happiness. It's just over different things and to different extremes, but she still is in love with her wife, and she still feels those things. And I just thought it was really interesting. I'll link that video in the description if I can find it. And it was really eye-opening for me, because I hadn't talked to anybody else at that point about antisocial personality disorder, because I never put that with sociopath. So when all of that blew up, like the Jake Paul, Shane Dawson thing, I was like, oh, that's what they call sociopaths. Like, because I know that that's not the technical definition.
And even then, like, I think someone like him still has, he has a character that he plays that is a sociopath and has sociopathic like behaviors, but he's also has a different side of him that he is suppressed because of YouTube and all the money, like that you
Yeah.
make that much money and it breaks you.
Yeah, for sure.
It amplifies. I can only imagine.
And he's catering to a younger audience, so
Yeah.
as he's maturing, he's like just ignoring this whole part of himself.
Yeah,
It
that breaks
doesn't
a
make him a
person.
bad person because of that, but a lot of other things have, I think. I don't know. He has learned how to be an on-camera person and an off-camera person, and that you shouldn't have to exist in duality like that.
And like, your mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yes.
Right.
So, what about Emerson? You know, is he a trophy? Is he someone that you love unconditionally? How do you feel about being a dad?
I mean, that has been one of the most, like, eye-opening and enlightening parts of my life. Like, seeing him, I see so much of myself in him and so much of you in him that it is easy to love that, because it's so much of us, and it is a person that we can make into someone we think is a good person.
Right? Like we can make him into someone that we like.
Yeah.
We can raise him to be what we think is right. And
yeah, and that's awesome. Like, I hope that's how my parents felt about me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I hope that, I don't know, being a parent's like one of the hardest and most rewarding things I've ever done.
So it has changed you would say? Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely...
Yeah, and I've learned a lot about myself in watching Emerson, because, like, a 3-year-old is nothing if not a psychopath and has no, like, empathy for other people.
Can we talk about the lying and, like, the things that he'll
Sure.
say sometimes? So Emerson says some things that are a little disturbing, usually at bedtime when he's, like, half asleep. So he takes melatonin. So I don't really know how much of this is just him regurgitating random things he's seen and then adding it together.
Which is also somewhat troubling.
So some nights he's like, I love your little face, I love your little nose, I love your little eyes, I love your little body. And then other nights he's like, I'm gonna peel your eyelids and scoop out your eyes and
Drain your blood.
cut off your stinky feet because they're disgusting, drain your blood, and then I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah. Which, like...
What?
Yeah.
What, kid?
I'm not sure what's on YouTube anymore.
Oh, God.
But...
Yeah. But so Greg also has said that he's seen lies sometimes that he kind of did as a child, and where you see Emerson dig into that lie and really hold on to it, and you try to push past that.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was, like, unable to admit that I had done something wrong, or, like, even after I had been completely caught, like, there was no sense that I would just lie. It was always lie, no matter what. And I always kind of, like, wanted to tell the truth, but I could just never make it come out my lips. I just couldn't. It wouldn't happen. And I really want him to not have that same compunction to just lie. It's because I understand the response and the reason behind it, but it held me back so much.
Do you
like,
think
I got in so much trouble that I didn't need to get into.
You carried that for a long time. And then the inability to actually verbalize your words and thoughts and feelings.
So, like, it still happens.
3 years or 2 years ago, I would say, is when you really started to when you were in therapy, when we were doing couples therapy and doing that, then that's when I saw the change. So do you think that would be from, like, antisocial personality disorder or more of the autism side of things?
I think that...
I don't really know what Emerson...
Yeah,
he obviously hasn't had a diagnosis. He has the sensory processing disorder, which is kind of a diagnosis, but I don't know if he's going to have trouble with social relationships. Like, he looks like he is, like, at his age level, I guess, for interacting.
I think he interacts well. Like, autism runs in my family, like, hard. And it's been diagnosed in people more recently, but, like, it was definitely overlooked for a while. Or maybe just not, like, realized.
I don't know if it was as popular or
that's a general thing that I think as a population we're opening our eyes to, but like, I don't know. What I do know is that he will think differently than most kids and will need special not special, but like
he'll
his
need
own
special
set
guidance.
of tools to navigate the world
Like
that
Dexter.
I wish I had when I was
Like
younger.
Dexter, though, like, as weird as that is, but you know how Dexter had this code. I don't know how much of Dexter you watched, but he was a psychopath, and he had this code that his father, who was his adoptive father, was a police chief, and it's like, you kill bad people, and you kill them only if they've done this, and this is how you do it, and like follow, like, kind of like that, but not that extreme.
Right.
Hopefully we don't have to teach him how to kill people, because I'm not going to know what to do. But
he's gonna find himself in situations that he may respond his instinct might be to respond one way, but he should be taught to respond another.
Yeah, and I think we try really hard to validate his feelings and let him know that it's okay that he's struggling to lie, like with lying, or it's okay that he feels however he's feeling in the moment. We just need to talk about it.
Yeah. Being able to express my emotions, feelings, any of that has all come much later in life, and when I was younger, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. So while I'm on the Dexter thing, I have an extra question I want to add in. You've taken the psychopathy test, or the checklist. I think it was the hair checklist. I'm not 100% sure. I am not qualified to administer a test, assess the results of a test,
right.
So keep that in mind. I guess there are two factors to psychopathy. Factor 1 is interpersonal and affective, and factor 2 is social deviance. And people want to know where it lies, because factor 2 is related to sociopathy, so they say.
So for me, like, I probably generally fall under factor 1 more, but like when I was in my addiction, that was really where the social deviance part of me came out.
Yeah.
I was a skateboarder. I was a little punk rock kid. Like, I was antisocial as a kid, but I wasn't, I wasn't anywhere
F the man and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
anarchy, all little A's everywhere.
But factor 1 I know is related to like the manipulation, the compulsive lying, that type of...
That's more my default
yes.
personality when I was younger, growing up until recently. It still happens.
Yeah, so I always say, when people ask me, I'm like, well, I think it's a little bit of both, but factor 2 is more because of his drug use.
Yeah.
So, cool.
And of course, I'm more likely to use drugs because of my diagnosis. That's just kind of,
goes hand in hand. On the note of the psychopath thing, you've actively and like consciously hurt people. You know, you've known that you are hurting them, your actions are hurting them. Can you kind of like break down why?
Because I didn't care. Like, and it's always been very easy for me to just not care about something, especially if it's not right in front of me.
Yeah.
Like, I can just turn it off.
Yeah.
And it makes it very easy to do what I want to do and get what I want to get.
Do you feel guilt about it?
Not really.
Yeah?
Like, even, no. Like, guilt for some things as I've gotten older and, like, learned that these things that I've done are not great,
socially acceptable,
right,
or up to like the morals of like my values, or sometimes I think you base things off of like how I would feel about it.
Probably.
Like, it's not what you use as your decision making, but like you consider that.
I have to pull my moral code from somewhere, because I think I have like an innate moral code to an extent. Like, I don't know.
What about empathy? Do you feel empathy?
Again, like, definitely something I've learned, and would say now that yes, I can feel empathy. In fact, I'm almost overly empathetic sometimes.
Overly is not, I mean, overly for you, but not like overly empathetic like I am.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm rubbing off on you too much.
I really think you are, like, only for the better, because I really just did not care about anything that was with any depth. You know what I mean? It was all surface level.
I would say that you've done the same to help me too, because there are times when my heart is too big and I'm feeling too much of everybody else's pain that it can be crippling. It can be crippling or paralyzing, and I can be consumed with it. And you have really helped me kind of reel that in, assess what I'm actually in control of, what I can do, what can I affect, and what can I change, and what I can't. So
we are two ends of a spectrum, I think, and it's kind of funny that we have helped to balance each other out, for sure.
Definitely. You kind of touched on it in that answer. I think that you have developed what is called cognitive empathy. You know what is what others are feeling, so you just know about it, you've learned about it enough?
Yeah, it's come with...
I think it is genuine too. I don't think it's... I think you feel it now.
It came with practice. Like, I had to do a lot of introspection and reflection on my past actions and, like, really thought about, no, this is what that person would have felt when this happened. And this is, someone else will feel the same way. Or,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
prison, you think? You
yeah.
the time for that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I know that therapy helped, but like prison, that takes a lot of time.
Prison is where I started therapy. Like, I started CBT in prison. Like, I've done, like, almost, it probably would be like 2 total years in like a CBT pod.
Yeah.
So like, I have done a lot of work.
Yeah.
Examining my thoughts, and in addition to like, I dig Buddhism and mindfulness, like, and that's also helped a lot.
Because it's valuable tools.
Yeah, man.
My next question was, can you learn to feel guilt or empathy? So that's kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I guess any final thoughts on what you would like to tell anybody that has ASPD, or anybody that loves someone?
Yeah, I mean, if it isn't like kind of a little clear, like that CBT and like therapy, and you just have to put the work in. Like, you have to realize that you are responsible for what you're doing, that like you're not, because there were some times where I just felt almost out of control, like my actions just kind of happen, but that's not the case. Like, I am in control of that, and learning that and learning what I could then do with that knowledge, it's changed my life, and I'm better off for it. Like, but I stayed trapped in my ways for a long time without even really caring or knowing what to do about it.
Yeah, but you can change. I mean, you have changed so much. It's just amazing to watch, and I'm proud of it. And I didn't change him. I didn't fix you. And people say that all the time, like, you can't fix broken men. Like, I didn't. I wish I could take credit for this, but I didn't do this.
There have been a couple like times that I can recall where like something has just clicked in me, and I just moved forward from there. And most of the time I haven't really slid back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
We actually should talk about that in a video. I know we brought it up before. Oh yeah. LSD and a microdose. It was a full trip.
It was a full trip.
A full trip that really helped Greg reach a level of emotional clarity that he had not had before.
Yeah, that's definitely a video I want to make at some point.
Yeah.
Like,
leave a comment if you want us to make that video. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you have any other questions, like, by all means, leave them in the comments, and we'll do another video like this.
Yeah. I think this is a good companion to the first one, because I think it's much more cohesive and clear. I didn't realize the type of response I would get with that first one, and I also didn't realize, I should have realized what people think of when they think of sociopath. Yeah. And I didn't do myself any favors being as awkward as I was. You were adorable. But it was my first video. So. I thought you were adorable. Thanks. But I think that my final notes are that words can hurt, and although it might not hurt him if you call him a sociopath, it hurts me. Like, it hurts me because I feel like you guys are really just selling him short. Like, you're not even giving him a chance to understand him as a person and his emotional depth and how much he's grown. And if you're doing that to him, who is putting himself out there more than most people do, like, you know more about Greg than you know about most random people you meet on the streets. Like, yeah. If you're gonna sell him short and try and put him in a box, like, what are you doing to everybody else? Yeah. So. Very true. Yeah. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, though. But, yeah, sometimes I wish I had that capability. Sometimes I wish you had that capability, too. Like, I'll edit a video and I'll show him and be like, do you want to see this? Do you want to see how this looks? And he's like, no, I'm good. Like, he just... It's done. Yeah. For me, it's done. Yep. Put it in a box, put a bow on it. It's gone. But that's all I have for today, guys. We will see you in the next video.